And I call Mr. Colum Eastwood to move the motion. Mr. Eastwood.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad to move this motion this afternoon. It's quite clear that this is one of the most interesting Westminster elections that we've seen in quite a while. I think for the first time in a long time, people here can actually have a say in what type of British government there is, what type of policies they will follow, and what impact will that have on us here, because we're all very good here at blaming the British when we run out of money. We're all very good at rightly recognising that the Tory party cuts have been detrimental to our people here, that the welfare cuts have been of a very real and dangerous impact to the people of the North. So if we recognise that, then we have to recognise that that's where the decisions are being made in relation to those key areas of budget and welfare. So the logical outworking of that, Mr. Speaker, is that we go there as a starting point, and that we go there to maximise our influence to best serve the people of the North. That's what the SDLP intend to do. We want to join with others in a kind of a Celtic coalition to help lock David Cameron out of Downing Street. I think that would be a good result. We've seen and we've heard from people in this chamber and from people on protest rallies and people from trade unions about the impact that the Tory government have had in the North, whether it's on the welfare system or whether it's on our block grant. I think it's incumbent on all of us, when we are offered the opportunity of an election in Westminster, whatever some of us might think about the fact that we unfortunately still have to go to Westminster to represent our people, we have to take up that opportunity to put the case to get the best possible deal for people here. The Tory party have said that their very first act would be to reduce the benefit cap. If that's going to be their first act, I worry very much about what their second, third, fourth and fifth acts will be, because I think this potential Tory government, Tory UKIP government potentially, maybe the DUP as well, they're determined to reduce even further the welfare provisions for their most vulnerable. They're determined to reduce even further the work and conditions, the pay and conditions for our public sector, and they're determined to reduce the size of government. And we all know what kind of an impact that will have for here and for people in constituencies like my own that suffer unemployment issues and suffer as a result of bad government and bad politics. So we're determined, Mr. Speaker, to make our voice heard, and I would encourage other people to do the same. I would ask the DUP to make it clear that they will not allow a Tory government, if it's within their gift, they will not allow a Tory government to do what they've been doing, only multiplying it in terms of the impact on the people here. I would also equally ask Sinn Féin to review their policy of abstentionism, because if we're able to sit in here, if they're able to sit in Dáil Éireann, how does that not apply to Westminster? I understand that people can be abstentionists if they want. I don't think it's a consistent message with sitting in here while there's still no United Ireland. I don't understand. If there's a place that people need to be represented in, then people need to go and do that representing. We need to join with the other progressive forces across these islands in trying to prevent another Tory government and trying to support a Labour government that does the right thing, because we make sure they do the right thing. What we need to be looking from these negotiations, which I think will be inevitable after the Westminster election, is a proper deal, a better deal, a fairer deal for the North. You know what the Barnett consequences of the HS2 project should look like if we got them? And this is DFP's own figures. It should be £1.3 billion for the North of Ireland. Imagine the infrastructure development that we could put in place with £1.3 billion. People talk about welfare all the time. We do need to tackle welfare dependency. The best way to tackle welfare dependency is to put people to work. The way you put people to work is you invest in infrastructure and you invest in skills. We want to see a deal that ensures expanded university provision and expanded infrastructure investment right across the north, so places like Derry can actually begin to become properly contribute to the economy of the north, therefore reducing the welfare bill and all the positive things that flow from that. We'd also like to see a city deal for Derry, and some of my colleagues in other cities will allow me this indulgence, that will allow us to ring-fence funding and powers and borrowing powers for people in Derry to implement all those things that we would like to see happen. But there's another major worry that I have about this election, Mr. Speaker. One of the potential governments that's talked about is the Conservative Party and UKIP, and probably, potentially, the DUP. And what would that end up with? That would end up with there being a referendum on Britain's involvement in the European Union. Does anybody in this House think that a British exit from the European Union would be good for Britain? Would it be good for here? I think when we're sitting with a land border with another jurisdiction that is part of the European Union, I can't understand how that would be a positive thing for the north of Ireland. In fact, if you look at just the direct funding that came from the EU between 2007 and 2013, you had £1.3 billion in single farm payments, £330 million through the Northern Ireland Rural Development Fund, £18 million through the European Fisheries Fund, £180 million through Peace 3, over £300 million through the European Regional Development Fund, £165 million through the European Social Fund element, and £77 million through Interreg 4. That's not even talking about the benefits in terms of trade that we have with other member states. So what we're looking at potentially after this election is a Conservative UKIP-DUP alliance that would allow for an exit from the European Union. People in Northern Ireland should be scared of that. They should be very scared of that. And the only way, in our view, to stop that is to ensure that we have a Labour government in Downing Street, one that has their feet held to the fire by progressive forces from the Celtic areas around here. We would love, Mr. Speaker, I'm an Irish nationalist, I would love not to have to go to Westminster. I'd far rather go to our own national parliament in Dublin. But the fact remains, power rests with Westminster, and we're going to, as Democrats, we're going to go to Westminster to try and get the best possible deal for our people. We're going to go to Westminster to try and lock David Cameron out of Downing Street and ensure a progressive alliance in terms of the next British government. And I hope others will hear the call and join us in that fight. Thank you very much.